We have the pleasure of having two folks to speak with us today, and by their agreement, we have one who will go first, which, makes sense. You can't both speak at once. So they did agree that they wouldn't speak at once. And we have somebody who is a Youper, who has spoken before, who has has agreed to go first. And her name is Pam S., and I know a little beyond that about her. What's Debbie S. I'm sorry, Debbie S. I said, see, the memory is the first to go, I think. I'm not sure, though. But anyway, Deb, please. Sorry for that.
Oh my God, there's a lot of people out there. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hi family, my name's Debbie. I'm an addict.
Hi, Debbie.
I was gonna ask you for a moment, but it won't calm these voices, so I'm just gonna get right to it. This is a great workshop. I was telling my boy here that I was gonna text Sally and straight up tell her, what if I'm not grateful for anything in 5 weeks from now, and I didn't bother because she knows me and she knows better, and I can honestly say from the time I was going into second grade, the only feeling that I had and that I knew was fear. So any other normal childhood, great, happy, internal feeling was taken away, and due to circumstances beyond my control. And thinking about it, I think the only memory that I had of even feeling a little bit good is when I picked up my first drug at that age, and I remember maybe what it's called gratitude that my mother didn't catch me, and I got away with it, and my brother didn't find out that I was stealing his stash, and that my dad didn't find out that I was watering down his liquor, and so I pretty much lived that way through all my formative years, and that feeling for me, the fear that overcame any other good feeling, except for the dope, felt good. I was very happy that I could, get it. And I equate it with a dark tunnel. And I lived in a dark tunnel for most of my life because it was safe. Every time I did catch glimpses of happiness and joy and everything that a child should have, the rug would be pulled off from underneath me. I'd start feeling confident that my brother wasn't going to beat me up, and it'd be okay for a while, and he did. And then I would get this false sense of security and happiness. My mom and dad were getting along, and he isn't going to drink very much, but that was very short-lived. So anytime that any good feeling came across or I felt, it was just taken away, till I learned that I can't trust any good feeling whatsoever, that I had become comfortable in the fear, and the dope took it away for a while. And I lived my whole life like that. And, I got married, I had kids, and by then, any good feelings I would express was learned behavior. I would watch people be happy that they got a gift, so I would be happy, because that was appropriate. Everything I was feeling was appropriate, because if that was gratitude, getting away with using and stuff, when I was little, I don't ever remember feeling that again for years and years and years. And so one day, I came into Narcotics Anonymous, and I came in through treatment. I had tried getting clean on my own, I had tried another fellowship that it didn't work for me. I tried, I never quit trying, but all those years I was trying, I just kept getting sicker and sicker and angrier. And, I was still occasionally going, oh, it's going to get better. And then something would happen and it would just blow it all to shit. And I would just go right back into that dark, safe tunnel. And there wasn't very much light in that tunnel. And I think most of the time when I would see a little bit of brightness is when I had a little bit of hope that it was going to get better. And then it wouldn't get better. So it would just go dark, and I liked it. I felt very comfortable there. I felt safe. I felt secure. Nobody could get to me anymore to hurt me. I had learned to go through the motions of life. I was happy about having my children, but I don't ever remember feeling anything that deep. Like, oh, I'm so grateful that I've got kids and I'm married and, this and that. I survived. I like most of us, I had gained a lot of survival skills, and there came a time for really quite a few years that I just became really angry because I wanted to feel good like other people. I wanted to be like really happy like other people. I wanted to be able to trust people that said that they were my friends, and when I came into Narcotics Anonymous, I had gone into treatment, and I felt pretty safe there, but I was still very, very scared. And I still didn't trust anybody, but I knew that I could no longer live and feel like I was feeling because I just wanted to die. I really did. I just wanted to die. And so I did I think 30 days. But finally, after about the first week, we were told that we had to go to meetings. And I'm like, I've been to meetings before. They didn't work. But it wasn't Narcotics Anonymous. So I was willing to try anything at this time to get better. So I went to my first meeting, and I walk in this room, and this dude ran up and hugged me. And I was like, this is really kind of creepy. Why are you hugging me? You don't know me. I'm a stranger, And but I remember, I will never forget, I got this little feeling. As much as I kept telling my counselors that I don't care about anybody, I'm fine, I can take care of myself, I remember this little feeling that I hadn't felt maybe but for a microsecond when I was little, and it freaked me out. It just really freaked me out. So I didn't tell this guy, I'm so grateful you gave me a hug, because it was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to run out of this room. These people are weird. And, but I didn't realize then that was the beginning of what is called gratitude. I was so grateful that somebody walked up and hugged me when I walked into a room, so scared that I was ready to pass out and run out the door, that it made me want to stay. And it made me feel this feeling, and I wanted more of this feeling. But I wasn't quite sure what it was yet, and I just kept coming back. And I just kept coming, and I kept coming, and I kept coming. And then one day, I got all these hugs after this meeting, and I just started crying. And I couldn't even figure out why I'm crying. Because the dam started breaking from all those years that all I really wanted was love and stability and to be able to trust. I started to trust you people. And that, to me, was like a really, really big thing. That was so life-changing for me. And so I just kept coming back. And then I heard this thing. You all said, my gratitude speaks when we care and when we share with others anyway. I'm like, what does that mean? You know, I didn't hear anybody running around going, oh, I'm just so grateful for this, and I'm so grateful for that, and I'm so grateful for this. And once in a while I'd hear somebody express their gratitude verbally. But I guess I just wasn't one of those people. I was uncomfortable with that word. I was still uncomfortable with expressing it. And so I would get caught up in anybody that said they were grateful and they were happy. And then I'd see people talk about how happy they are and grateful for this and grateful for that, and tears would be running down their eyes. I'm like, if you're so happy and grateful, why are you crying? You know, I don't get this. This is some weird stuff here, you know. But I just kept coming back because I wanted so much to feel more than I ever felt my whole life. And it started walking into that first meeting. And one day I finally opened my mouth and I started sharing. And I was so overcome by emotion because those people that were sitting at that table, I don't think they realized that for once in my life I felt safe. I felt safe. These people told me they're going to love me until I love myself. You think I believed that? It's like, no, you don't know me. You can't. There's no way you can love me. The stuff that I've done in my life, you know. And so the more I listen to all these wonderful people, the more I'm thinking, oh my God, they've done some stuff. You know, these people, oh my God, you know. And how are they finding any gratitude in this? I just don't get it, you know. So it took me a really long time to understand what true gratitude is. And I was reading a meditation. Sometimes I'll just go, if I'm feeling off, I'll go through the meditation and I'll read different meditations. And I stopped at this gratitude meditation. I think it might have been on 58 in the Just for Today, but it talked about how some of us don't verbalize the gratitude, but it's a feeling, it's a thought, it's an emotion. And sometimes you'll see somebody sitting there and the tears will just come down. And then I realized at that moment that was me, because I was feeling guilty because all these good things are happening and I'm not like running around going, oh, I'm just so grateful. You know, are you all grateful for me? You know, because I wasn't comfortable about it. But I felt it. And the more I felt it, and the more I allowed people in, I got better and better and better and better. And that was like a miracle to me, you know, to really start feeling. But at the same time being very, very overwhelmed by these feelings that they scared me sometimes. So my defense mechanism would be to shut it down if it became too powerful, you know. And I was grateful by then. I had some understanding and steps in my life that when I started feeling like that, I was gathering all these tools that might help me, you know, whether it's something that somebody said, whether it's in the first, second, or third step, you know, but knowing that I'm not a normal person, so I'm not going to feel normal. I'm going to think different. I feel different than people on the outside world. You know, some of these people would never understand how I feel about certain things, you know, and why I can be in public or be around a bunch of people and tears will just start coming, you know, or why I'm at a table sharing something good and tears are coming. And when I see a newcomer come in, I'm just a ball of emotion. I just sit there and I'm just like, I get this smile on my face. And I have this permanent smile today, you know, and it's a real smile. It's not just I'm going through the motions, and I know you're supposed to smile, so I'm going to keep it on my face. So that's kind of a creepy smile, you know. That's like, I always think, you know, you probably might need to be in the psych ward if you have that kind of smile, you know, but we'll love you anyways. And so this program has taught me, and the people have taught me that I'm worth reteaching. I'm worth getting help. You know, it's nice to be understood when you can run around so happy for so long and then something happens and it's like the rug gets pulled out from underneath you and you go right back to that little girl, that fearful child, that I'm going to keep you at arm's length. You can't help me because you're so sick of listening to me all these years when things are up and down, but I'll sit and listen to you all day long, and I'll cry when things go good, and I'll cry when things are going bad, you know, and I'll cry because I know that if you hold on and you don't pick the dope up, you'll get through it, and you'll be able to help me get through something, you know. And I don't think I've ever walked in a meeting where I think to myself, I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm just going to talk about how grateful I am to be here, and grateful this and grateful that. I feel, and sometimes when the tears comes down, if you're a newcomer, they'll go, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Just keep coming back," you know. And it's amazing how you can be pretty much happy. That's what, to me, being grateful, it's a very happy feeling. It's a very fulfilling feeling. How you can go from being pretty much happy 80% of the time, 75-80% of the time, the other 20-25%. After all these years, I still have yet to find anything grateful in those situations, that there's a gift there. So this program has given me a way to move on from all that. But maintaining that 75-80% is a lot of work, a whole lot of days. When I saw the name of this workshop, like Forever, I'm like, that is a concept to me that I don't get. It's like forever means in the future. I have today, because my head was jumbled. I'm like, forever, that in Debbie's dictionary, that is like way too far away, and I have to stay in today, and when life shows up, that bad part of life, I don't know about you guys, but any good feeling I have, any gratefulness I have for everything I've been given, and what's yet to come, starts going away, and I start going back into this tunnel, and I go so far into this tunnel that it's pitch black, and there's no light at the end of this tunnel, and it's scary. See, I used to be comfortable in it, but it scares me today. And sometimes it's just like my head is like this dark tunnel. It just goes blank. It's like my brain dies for a while. It just goes away. I'm disconnecting. I'm shutting down, and I'm full of fear. And so this last year, from last December to the December before, so it's been, all within a year, it's been very bumpy. Life showed up in not ones, not twos, but threes. And it was like every time I made it through these feelings with this situation, and I thought it was going to be okay, something else would come along, and the rug would be pulled up from underneath me. So I was going in and out of this tunnel. And the last probably 6 months of my recovery have probably been about the hardest times I've ever gone through. And I entered this tunnel, and I didn't want to come out. And I was comfortable there. And I didn't have the desire to use. I didn't have the want to use, but the obsession to use came back. And I had no control over it. I thought I had no control over this. And so, like, within, it it was a series of things. Within a year, I mean, Mark got diagnosed with his cancer. Everything turned out okay, but that was a month. Those were months of not knowing. And then a month or so later, we lost our first grandchild. So I was still reeling from the thought of losing my husband and my life changing, and how am I going to? I need to get him through this, and I still have to be there for my daughter. She lost the baby a very short time later. So now I'm caught in grief. I'm caught in grief, and I'm angry. I can see no reason why this happened. I'm yelling at God. I'm yelling at people around me. I went back to being angry with my husband, but he had no control over this. He's in pain, but it didn't matter at that time. It was my pain, my self-centeredness that had come back. That all I could think of about was me, and glimpses of my poor daughter. I have to help her through this, but I can't even help myself right now. But I can't let her know how bad I am, because I have to be there for her, And so we got through that. And then a few months later, she got pregnant again, which I was very upset. I was very upset because I did not want to see her go through this pain of possibly losing another one. I was not thrilled about having to deal with the possibility, because I have it all figured out. I've got the future figured out. It's not going to be good. She's going to lose this child because she lost this one. And she got pregnant with twins. And the dam burst. We were elated. Everything is this is great. Everything that happened, this is the gift. Now this is the gift right here. We have this beautiful 4-year-old grand crazy daughter, and now we're going to have 2 more. We're going to have 2 more. This life is great. Life is, oh God, if it wasn't for this program, I wouldn't be clean. I wouldn't be able to experience all this, And we got a phone call one night, and she said, you and Dad need to be up in Minnesota tonight. And we knew it was bad, and we just went into motions, packed, hauled butt, got up to Minnesota, and both the babies were in distress. And they had to perform this procedure on her, because her life could be affected through all this too, And they luckily, they did the surgery. One of the babies died within 24 hours. And that became, for me, it took me to a place where I never thought I would go. It took me to feelings I had never thought I would feel. I thought, well, I'm experienced at grieving because we already lost a grandbaby. This was so different. This was so different. I was overwhelmed. And the obsession to use was phenomenal. And I just started going back into that tunnel, because I was going in and out. Because the fear of staying the same was the fear of changing was stronger than the fear of not changing, because I wanted to live. And so we did our camp out, and I just broke. We're trying not to let people know everything that's going on. We're hosting this camp out. We have to do service, so we're going to be adult. We're going to do it. We're not going to let it interfere. Well, that's impossible. When you are surrounded by all these people that you have been recovering with for years, they can take one look at your face and know there's something wrong. And you can tell them everything's fine, and they'll just tell you bullshit. So we're getting through this campground, and I'm just getting worse. Our dog was in the camper. We thought he was going to die that weekend. I'm trying to process these feelings. We're walking on eggshells because we didn't know if the other twin was going to survive. There were no guarantees with this. And, you want to talk about finding some gratitude in all this crap, all this poison, all this horrible stuff. This gentleman that I've known for a really long time said, "Do you want to go for a walk?" And first of all, I said, "No, I don't think so." And he goes, "Yeah, you want to go for a walk with me?" I'm like, "All right, I'll go for a walk." And I'm mad. I don't want to do this because I don't want his help. I don't want nobody's help. I want to feel these feelings. I want to stay in them, because they're just comfortable again. It brought back a lot of old thoughts. And if I break too much, I'm never going to come back. I'm just going to break. I'm going to shatter. I'm going to fall apart. I'm going to end up in the psych ward. I won't be there to help my family because it's not always about me. But I had to get right to help her through this tragedy and this trauma. And he took me for a walk, and I don't know what happened, but boy, we were way at the end of the campground, and I just start yelling. I just start yelling about this. It just sucks. And I'm in bad shape. I'm in really bad shape. It's the first time I told anybody that the thought of using is going around in my head so strong. I hope to God that I can get through this. Because if I picked up, everything will be destroyed. Everything. And I'm still not focused on anything good that's going on anymore. I'm so wrapped up in grief and pain and sorrow because y'all taught me how to grieve, that grieving is normal. It took me a long time. I didn't know how to grieve until I picked up the phone at 3 years clean. I don't know, how am I supposed to do this? And that's when my mom died. So that gentleman will never know that he helped save my life that day. And I was able to call the meeting together that night, and I was able to share, because these people are wondering what the hell's going on with me, And I did, and I dumped, and I started feeling better. And so after that, everything, it was touch and go, but we have a new granddaughter. She's about 4.5 months old. She's a preemie. She was healthy. I never thought in my head, well, 1 out of 2 is great. I'm just pretty happy that we have one, but I'm still focused on the loss, and so I have found so much gratitude through other people and how they have expressed it and the things that they do to show it, that I started kind of going out of my way a little bit more to express some gratitude. Because I have one granddaughter, I have a new one, Mark's cancer's good, my house is falling apart because we're gone. That's a whole nother story. I'm not even going to take you guys there. You'll be crazy. And because I'm still half crazy over it. But I remember that sometimes I have to find gratitude through other people. And the christening came up a few weeks back, and I'm starting to come into the light. We have no water. Everything blew up on us. The well, the pump, everything just went. And I'm trying to get ready for this joyous occasion. And I'm on the deck with buckets of water, washing my hair, taking showers. Mark's using my bathtub, putting a ring in it from heated buckets of water. I'm like, dude, I never had a ring in my bathtub in my life till you got in there. But we're managing, we're managing. And, but I could feel myself going through the motions again. And my thought pattern was, how in God's name are we going to get through this bittersweet occasion when there's supposed to be 2 babies in my daughter's arm? How is she going to get through this without people breaking down? Because it's on the back of everybody's mind. This whole church is full of family, and I sat in this church and I was reminded of why I don't go to church, So I'm like really getting ungrateful. So I'm focusing on the death of the child, one, and then both of them, predicting that this poor baby who had a twin is going to grow up all screwed up because her twin's gone. So I'm focusing on all this negative stuff. My daughter and I are trying not to look at each other. I'm sitting in church with these dark glasses on because the night before I felt the emotions start coming. I felt the anger starting to come back at the unjust of it's not supposed to be this way, it's supposed to be this way. And, you know, we're in church. I got these glasses on. I had to take them off, but I put them back on because I'm trying to hold back tears, so my eyes are, I can feel them swelling up, you know, and I'm trying to keep them wiped so nobody knows. And if my daughter looked at me, she would break. She would break down because I know where she's at. We know each other. So we didn't really look at each other too much the whole time during this christening because we would have broke. And I'm just, you know, I'm barely looking up at the church thing, and they call her about half hour before the christening. The church is dead quiet, and you hear this grunt that is so loud that the whole church started busting out laughing, and it was little Amelia pooping. But that was the first time I laughed that for 48 hours and being in that church. I was resentful of being in that church, and I was resentful for a whole lot of stuff. And so the mood lightened, and, you know, I'm still going. I'm on this emotional roller coaster, and they call the children up, and I'm like, oh, my God, here we go. Oh, my God, what is going to happen? Is she going to make it? Am I going to make it? I look up, and I see my daughter, and I see my wonderful, wonderful son-in-law with this beautiful, tiny baby in their arms, and they did not care that there wasn't two there. They were so grateful for what they had. And I'm sitting there so ungrateful for all the unjust of everything that has happened. How could that not catch on? And I got the biggest smile on my face, and I was overcome by a calmness, and then the tears just came down. But they weren't tears of anger, self-pity. They were tears of joy. They were tears of gratitude. And I was reminded that I really need to be happy for what I've got. And you talk about, what's the theme of this convention? In my wildest dreams? In my wildest dreams, I never thought I would have any emotion other than fear and anger. In my wildest dreams, I never thought that all you people sitting out here, and I know 80% of you, have been in my life and are part of my family, because I never had that. And that you have stuck with me. That is what I am grateful for. I will forever, ever be grateful to Narcotics Anonymous, and there's the forever. See, I found that forever, for what it has given me and the tools that it has given me to get through something that I didn't know if I was going to make it clean. After all these years, I was so scared, you know. But the shame went away, and I was able to go to my home group, which I was hating at that time, because they don't get it. They don't recover like me, you know. So they don't get it. So I'm not going to share, you know. I'm not going to let them in. And I was able to verbalize all of it. I was able to look at that newcomer. I go, this is me after almost 13 years of recovery. So if you think you're ever cured, you keep coming back. But if you stay, you get every tool that you possibly can to help save your life. Because sometimes people cannot save my life. Sometimes I have to reach out to my higher power. And that's what got me through. Everybody had a part in it. But when I asked my higher power for help to get through this, it came. You know, and I was God-smacked. And I was grateful. And so I love life today. And there's going to be more ups and downs. There'll be no more babies. So we're going to just be happy with what we've got. And I'm going to continue to give back what has freely been given to me, because that's what you people did. You gave me all these tools. You shared all your experiences. You came to these tables in good times and bad times, and you shared it. And I saw most all of you get through it clean. And I am so grateful for that. And I love you guys so much, and thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Debbie, for sharing that. Is somebody for whom I am grateful, because he's a dear friend of mine, and is somebody for whom I am grateful, because he's a dear friend of mine, and was real important in my early recovery, and still is in my recovery today. And he moved from Lansing, where I met him, and now he's down in Western Wayne. But I'd like to present Sean D.
Yeah, baby.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sean, and I'm an addict.
Hi, Sean.
And I'm grateful to be here. I actually look forward to their convention every year because I get to see all you guys, and I get to, have all those wonderful memories, and all, being here 5 years ago and reflecting where I was and where I am now, and seeing the gratitude. It's pretty awesome. But it hasn't always, and it's still, I can identify with recently in the last 6 months going through some really hard times emotionally. I suffer with depression, and I haven't had to really deal with it for quite some time. And it came on really hard out of nowhere, and I was in the middle of school, because you guys helped me get, enough self-esteem and stuff to go, yeah, I should go back to school, I'm going to give up my career that I did for 15 years, and, I'm going to go for this, because I feel like that's where I need to be, and, I was so grateful to get to go back to school because, I had a really bad experience in school. I probably got to the 8th grade, and I got teased really bad, and I had just a lot of animosity, and I just really did not ever feel part of growing up. And so, leaving the atmosphere was I believed was the best thing, but unfortunately, I had a lot of anger towards the world because of the fact is that I felt like I was cheated. And I'm grateful that because, I came into this program, that one of my dreams was to get, an education, and I'm doing that. I'm in the process of that. But I didn't expect that, something like my depression was going to get in the way when everything was just going so good, and, so interesting that, going through, things like anatomy and physiology and, English and stuff and, all these things, man, I'm kind of smart, oh, shoot, I'm surprised I can remember this stuff, because, I even today, if sometimes I'll read stuff and I'll be like, I don't even know what the hell I just read, but I know I said words, and then to actually go through and get a decent GPA, where you're an honor student, and you're just and you're still I don't believe that, somehow I manipulated, because that's how I came from the world, was I manipulated my way to have status or something, you know what I mean? So it was really hard for me to accept that I could do good at something. And it still is a challenge, because, what happened, recently is that I came across algebra. And I never done it. And I found it was hard, for me. But I had that ego that thought, like I did so great in all these other things that I'm going to do great and kick ass at this too. And I realized I didn't, and I was drowning in it. And even with asking for help, because you guys taught me that, it wasn't getting any better. And then something triggered in me where, I wanted nothing to do but pull away like I did when I was in high school. Like, my self-esteem just started going, and I was like, felt like I was floundering, like I was drowning, like I don't know what I'm doing, what's going on, why am I not having the same experience, and, it was really hard to accept that because I felt like I failed. And that in that state, it was so difficult to see the gratitude. Because, having the disease, it robs us of everything, giving that opportunity. And, going through, stuff like triggers, like not understanding what was going on, and having to go back into therapy after I worked on myself for years. And then going like, why am I back here? I wasn't a fan of taking antidepressants in recovery, and I did not want to do that. And I found out that I had to because I have a chemical imbalance. That was acceptance on my part. And I did not like it at first. And I was all like, well, I'm taking the bare minimum. That's what it says. And, times of illness, I'm going to do that itty bitty, And it worked for a period of time, but unfortunately, I guess it plateaued. And it plateaued right in the middle of school. Because from what was explained to me, is I was going through more stress and anxiety than I've ever had that responsibility. Like, I was getting responsibilities, you guys. Like, I had my own business. I'm going back to school. I have a really great relationship that I've worked really hard, having. I got lots of friends, I'm involved. I do service, and my ego's like, I'm kicking ass, yeah. And then, this comes along, and something in myself was wanting to just go back to how it was and just be like, it's just a lie, and I didn't want to feel. I wanted to run away, and that was a really dark time because of the fact they were telling me you got to take more medication, and I'm like, no, because the fact is that I could just, work these steps and I'm going to be okay, and it's just like, and I just argued about that because I was just like, no, I was like, something outside of me is not going to, make me feel a certain way ever fucking again. And, I'm grateful that I have a very awesome sponsor. And I have an awesome sponsorship family that, has a lot of experiences of what I go through, and not telling me, but by showing through their experience, I come to my own understanding and acceptance of myself in that area. But it's not always a freaking walk in the park. Surrendering to that probably was one of the hardest things, and I'm still working on my surrender of it right now. Because I still want to be able to be a certain image in your eyes. I still want your acceptance because I really have a hard time giving that to myself. So it's really hard for me to work for it. And, but I have. I have worked really hard to, even when I'm going through that very dark time, because I was plagued with wanting to use. Those thoughts, like I still have the desire. I don't want to use, I don't want to go back to that life, but why am I obsessing again about wanting to change the way I feel? And kind of being pissed off that I'm in this place again. Like I should not feel like I think I should not have any thoughts of using. Like they were gone, didn't deal with that for years, and then bam, I go through this, and I'm like a newcomer again, and I'm pissed because my ego's hurt. And it's hard for me to humble myself in that moment. And even though being around here long, and I've met lots of people who go through the same things, I still want to think that my shit I'm fatally hip and totally cool, whatever that thing is, and like going through that and sharing about that and, being embarrassed because, it's just so interesting to me how the more we stay clean and the longer we continue to work the steps and still be involved, that those layers keep coming down. And I'm grateful for that in some way too, because of the fact is that I realize that I'm still growing. I'm still recovering, and I'm, grateful that I can see that, because, there's also a part of me that just wants to sign up still like, so am I recovered yet? It's unfortunate, but there's a little part of my brain that still wants to like shoot my move or put my things together, and NA has really showed me to look and find the beauty in everything. Find the gratitude, that's, when I was going through this depression and, I was sharing with my home group and, sharing with my sponsor and, and letting people help me, and how uncomfortable I felt. Just feeling like I should know how to do this. Like I practiced this so well 6 months ago. What's going on? And, man, I'm grateful that, going through that, not using no matter what, just going through it no matter what, and just being honest for what I was going through, and continuing to do things like sponsoring people when I was like, I don't understand why you think I have something to give, because the fact is that if you knew what was going on in my head, and I'm telling you, and I don't see you running away, I'm grateful that they were there to be there for me. That, I'm so grateful to be able to know that sponsorship is a two-way street, because we go through things in recovery that shake our foundation pretty hard. And I've had a lot of change. Changing the career direction, going into another, because I want to practice medicine, going into, I just got finished, caring for a mother with Alzheimer's for 10 years, and she passes away, and then my boyfriend's mother passes away, and then, everything's just changing, and, and I'm really grateful that, I had the tools, and I had the steps, and I had a really strong support system to get through all of that stuff, But man, sometimes when it takes it all back to me, when it's me, I got to deal with my stuff, and I'm not taking care of the other things, and I can get with that. It's hard. But even in those situations, like talking about gratitude, I'm so grateful to remember that in my addiction, I was selfish. But I had the mask of it's all good, man, I'm all about, giving this illusion of what I am and completely being a leech. And, realizing, that I took, and especially from, my mother, who was one of my greatest enablers, and she also was an addict, but she never really got to experience what we got to have, and, all what I went through and, what I'd done to this woman in my addiction, I was so grateful after going through it. You can't see it right away, but, when I got the opportunity to take care of my mother, when she took care of me when I couldn't take care of myself, and sacrificed her time and her life and her resources and stuff in hopes that I was going to not die from this disease. I don't know how many times that woman helped me get into treatment, how many times that she enabled, and, even though I can understand from, my own loving relationships with addicts about the boundaries, but, man, she took chances that, she didn't have to. And, when my mother got ill, I was so grateful that NA was here to teach me how to do things like how to pay bills. I didn't allow my mom to show me that, or, it was just give me what I want, like there's, and so grateful to show me how do I raise a woman with Alzheimer's who's training like a child in front of me? I don't know. And I had people show me how they took care of situations like how they raised their kids. It's like in reverse, you guys. And it was, it was one of the most, and going through that was one of the most painful, but at the end I had so much gratitude to be able to give back that time to that woman. And, I always, today, I always was grateful for that, because of the fact is that, she got to see me come into this world and I got to see her out. And, I love the idea. I don't know what will happen, but I believe that my consciousness, I would love to be able to spend eternity with that. And a lot of other things, but whatever will be, and she's a great source of my inspiration, When I got here, I did not want anything to do with something greater than myself, and I was like, all right, I'll pray to my mom. And that worked, and eventually time is, I started allowing more trust, in something greater than myself, that I didn't feel like I had to control the experience, to be able to let down my walls, because I suffer with a lot of abandonment issues. I don't want to get too close, because I'm afraid that I'm gonna fuck it up. Still, 6 years clean. And then there's times I'm totally secure and I'm like, I ain't gonna screw nothing up, I'm good. The freaking Jacqueline Hyde shit is crazy. But I always remind myself through my experiences, is going through the depression, caring for a woman with Alzheimer's, moving, getting in relationships, is when things are really difficult, search for the gratitude. Search for it. Find the beauty in something, even though I'm going through this depression and it's getting better, you know what? I don't have to go through it alone. I remember going through depression alone, and it sucks, you guys. I remember going through depression and trying to control it with my own substance, instead of something that was recommended by a professional, and that got worse. I got a lot of visits in the psych unit, and, because I didn't really want help. I just wanted a freaking break from reality, you guys. That was really, and I was like, you're going to put me in a place for 2 weeks where you guys are going to take care of me? Sign me up, I'm grateful that I can go through depression, and I'm not willing to do that again. I'm willing to stick it out. I'm willing to let people come in. I'm willing to have people show me how to live a life worth living. I'm grateful that, I can share my story. I'm grateful that I can be enough, even when I don't feel like I'm enough. I'm grateful that I can be able to know better, even though I don't feel better. That's one of my struggles, too, is that I feel I have this idea that I think because my life is amazing, I should feel amazing all the time. And sometimes I have tantrums when I recognize that it's not going that way. And then I want to find out how can I control it to work that way. And you're like, oh, you can't? Okay, I'll let it go. The surrender's the key to beginning of gratitude for me. I find usually when I get out of the way, I'm able to see it with I get to see it with my rose pair of glasses. I was telling my friend the other day when we're getting the suitcases out of the car, I'm like, oh, your suitcase is maroon, man. And he's like, no, it's black because you got rose-covered glasses. I'm like, I do. I love you too, but, I'm grateful for, perception. I'm grateful for, the diversity of this program. I absolutely love that we're in a program that it is not boring. And it's always beautiful. And, also the beautiful sometimes is bad, but at the same time, it's taking me through that journey I need to go through. I know that I believe the best way that I can be of gratitude is my service to NA in any way that it calls me, even when I'm just like, no, you don't want to hear what's coming out of my mouth. All right, you asked for it, and I share the same thing, like, I don't want to go up in front of here and stuff like that, but I just know that I have to, because I will do whatever I need to do to not get high again. I do not want to go back to that world ever again. I'd rather be clean and crazy than get to not being crazy. Because being high and crazy is no fun, and I know exactly that prison. I have relapsed before, more than once, and I know that it is a horrible experience to be clean and in recovery and then go back out and try it again. It's fucked up. And that is not beauty to me. Because you guys have shown me, like, a lot of things that are beautiful that just doesn't work in active addiction. It just doesn't, and I can be the biggest hippie freaking idea come in, and I'm still like, it just doesn't, it's got no substance, man, unless you're clean, it just doesn't got substance anymore. And you guys gave me that. I remember I thought I knew stuff and was completely had awareness and stuff when I was using, because I was like, great, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to get to know things and perception, and I just enhance my stuff, and and then I got clean, and then I was just like, dude, that's a fucking lie, because of the fact is that now it's just you're just surviving, and you're just basically acting like a big old mask, that. You know what real happiness is. You know what real gratitude is. And, you get your ass back to those meetings. I remember the last use, and I remember I love being out in nature, man. I'm very social, but when I'm on drugs, I hang out in my apartment all by myself, and I freaking cannot stop putting something in my body every fucking 15 minutes just to fucking cope with it. And then when it's time to go to bed, my prayers was to ask God to not let me wake up. And I've experienced that when I go through depression. That's some hard stuff to be able to deal with when my disease is telling me, it's better off that if you were dead. And I don't want to die. But I suffer with a secondary illness. And I remember going through recently, for about a month, telling my sponsor, I don't want to live. I just don't feel, and me understanding, to battle with that when that's not the truth. When I know that life is worth living, but when you have that illness, it's like, you should die. And you're actually wanting to ask your higher power to, I just don't want to wake up again. I'm so tired of that. And it was suggested to me that probably doing that's not the best idea, but you know what? Try to trust the process. It's okay to have those thoughts. That does not mean that you're going to do it. A thought and an action is completely different. So I hung on to that. I hung on and told myself, just because I feel this way does not mean it's fact. When I get in those moods, I love creating a list where it's like, okay, let's see. How's your life going? It's pretty awesome. It's manageable. I take care of responsibilities. I do all the stuff that, freedom of active addiction. And, how are you feeling? Oh, not at all like that. Okay, that's not a fact. That's your disease. And I'm so grateful that you guys taught me that, because some days I have a hard time dealing with and coping with reality. But with the tools that the program gave me and my relationships with the steps and, the things like service, sponsorship, and the no matter whats, You know, no matter what, I'm not going to change this. I'm just going to, because I know that there's going to be growth through it. You know, I hang on, like the other experiences, it's going to get better. You know, and because I'm stubborn as fuck, I ain't getting high. Because I'm going to sit here and suffer in my in my own stuff until I get to the other side and I go, oh, okay. So look for the gratitude in everything you can, because we all deserve to exist. So do I. Thanks.